My daughter handed me a flash drive with my wife's name written on it in silver Sharpie. Emma stood in my home office doorway, her 15-year-old face pale, eyes rimmed red like she'd been crying for hours. "Dad, please watch this," she whispered. I thought maybe she'd found old vacation photos, something sentimental. My stomach didn't drop until I saw her hands shaking. "Emma, what is this? Just watch it, please." She turned and walked away before I could ask anything else. I plugged the drive into my laptop, one video file 19 minutes long. The thumbnail showed a hotel room, generic beige walls, and a queen bed with white sheets. My cursor hovered over the play button for what felt like an eternity. Then I clicked. The video quality was decent, clearly shot on a newer phone propped on a dresser. The angle captured most of the room. I recognized my wife Claire immediately, her auburn hair falling past her shoulders as she laughed at something off camera. She wore a black dress I'd never seen before, the kind that costs more than my weekly paycheck. A man walked into frame, tall, fit, probably mid-30s, with that aggressive gym rat build. He handed Claire a glass of wine and they clinked glasses. "To finally getting away," Claire said, her voice crystal clear on the recording. "Your husband really believes you're at a conference?" the man asked. Claire laughed. "Tom believes whatever I tell him. He's too busy with his construction sites to notice anything." The man, whose face I now recognized as Derek Mitchell from Claire's marketing firm, leaned in and kissed her. Not a peck. A long, hungry kiss that made my chest tighten like someone had wrapped steel cables around my ribs. I should have stopped watching. I didn't. They talked for a few minutes, gossiping about co-workers, laughing about inside jokes I'd never understand. Then Claire said something that made the cables around my chest tighten even more. "I can't believe I wasted 15 years on him. You know, he still thinks I find him attractive, like I want to touch someone who comes home covered in drywall dust every night." Derek laughed. "At least he pays the mortgage while you're out here with me." "Exactly. Let him think he's the provider, keeps him useful." The video continued, but I couldn't focus anymore. My hands were shaking now, just like Emma's had been. I dragged the progress bar forward, watching their silhouettes move together, watching my marriage dissolve in 19 minutes of digital evidence. When it ended, I sat in darkness. My office had gotten dark without me noticing. The cursor blinked on the black screen. Emma appeared in the doorway again. "Dad," she said quietly, "there's more you don't know." Those 6 words launched something inside me. Not rage, not yet. Something colder, more calculated. "Tell me everything," I said. She came in and sat on the leather chair across from my desk, the one Claire usually occupied when she worked from home. Emma looked older than 15. Right then, tired in a way kids shouldn't be. "I've known for 3 months," she said. "I heard Mom on the phone one night when you were working late. She was laughing, talking to someone, saying things that made me sick. So I started paying attention, following her social media, checking her car when she came home from her business trips. Emma, you shouldn't have. She's been lying to both of us, Dad, for over a year, maybe longer." I found receipts in her purse. Hotels, restaurants, lingerie from places she'd never shop at normally. Then last month I saw her with him, Derek. They were at that Italian place downtown, the expensive one. I took photos. She pulled out her phone and showed me. Claire and Derek at a candid table, holding hands across the tablecloth. Claire wearing another dress I'd never seen, laughing at something he said. The timestamps showed dates when Claire had told me she was working late or meeting clients. "The video?" I asked. "I followed them to the hotel last week, watched them go in together. I knew which room because I saw the room number when the door opened. I told the cleaning lady I was Derek's daughter, that he'd left his medication in the room and I needed to grab it real quick." She let me in before they got back from dinner. I set up my phone behind the clock on the dresser, started recording, then left. My 15-year-old daughter had run a better surveillance operation than most private investigators. Emma, I'm sorry you had to. I'm not sorry, she interrupted. Her voice was hard, adult. She's been treating you like garbage for years and I'm tired of watching it. At dinner parties, she makes jokes about you being simple or blue-collar like it's embarrassing. Her friends laugh. I've seen you pretend it doesn't hurt. She was right. Claire had a way of turning my job into a punchline. Tom the builder, Tom the handyman. Tom who gets dirty for a living while she sits in air-conditioned offices making real money. I'd learned to laugh along because fighting about it never helped. What do you want me to do? I asked. I want you to stop being nice. Stop pretending everything's okay. She doesn't deserve you. I looked at my daughter, this fierce young woman who'd inherited my stubbornness and her mother's intelligence. Somewhere in the past few months, while I was busy managing construction sites and trying to keep my marriage together, Emma had grown up and chosen sides. Okay, I said. But we do this smart. No yelling, no drama, no giving her ammunition to paint me as the bad guy. Can you do that? Oh, Emma nodded. What's the plan? I need a few days to think. Don't tell your mom anything, act normal. Can you do that? I've been doing it for 3 months already. That night, Claire came home around 9 later than usual. She dropped her designer purse on the kitchen counter and kicked off her heels. God, what a day, she said, rubbing her temples. The Anderson account is driving me crazy. Their creative director is completely incompetent. I was making coffee, my back to her. Rough meeting. 3 hours of him shooting down every concept we pitched. Derrick finally lost his temper and told him off. It was actually kind of impressive. Derrick, she just dropped his name into casual conversation like it meant nothing. Sounds stressful, I said, keeping my voice neutral. You want coffee? No, I'm exhausted. I'm going to shower and go to bed. She walked past me without kissing me. Good night. Without touching me at all. Just disappeared upstairs while I stood in the kitchen holding 2 coffee mugs. I didn't sleep that night. I lay next to Claire in our bed watching her chest rise and fall, wondering how many nights she'd fallen asleep thinking about him instead of me. Wondering when exactly I'd become the useful idiot who paid bills while she played house with someone else. The next morning I started making calls. First call went to Jack Brennan, a lawyer I'd worked with on commercial projects. We'd grabbed beers a few times, talked about sports and life. He was good people. Jack, I need a divorce attorney, best one you know. There was a pause. Tom, man, I'm sorry, what happened? Rather not get into it over the phone. Can you recommend someone? Patricia Vance. She's brutal, fair, and doesn't lose. I'll text you her number. Second call went to my bank. I opened a separate account and rerouted my direct deposit. Not all of it. Just enough that Claire wouldn't immediately notice, but enough that I'd have resources if things got ugly. Third call went to my buddy Kyle from the construction company. Kyle did side work as a process server. I need someone followed, I told him discreetly, just confirming patterns, getting solid evidence. How solid we talking? Courtroom solid. Give me a week. I went to work that day like nothing had changed, managed my sites, dealt with subcontractor drama, reviewed blueprints. Nobody would have guessed my entire world had shifted on its axis. Emma texted me around noon. Mom just called. Says she's working late again tonight. Want me to track her? No, I texted back. Let her think we're clueless. I've got professionals handling it now. That evening I made dinner for Emma and myself, spaghetti with meatballs, her favorite. Claire had texted saying she'd grab something at the office. Is this weird? Emma asked, twirling pasta on her fork, pretending everything's normal. It's strategic, I said. Your mom's smart. If we tip her off before everything's in place, she'll lawyer up, move money around, build her own case. We need to be smarter. When did you get so calculating? I've always been calculating. Your mom just assumed I was too dumb to notice things. People make that mistake about guys like me. We work with our hands, so they think we don't work with our brains. Emma smiled, the first real smile I'd seen from her in days. She's going to be so surprised. Kyle called 4 days later. You were right, he said. Tuesday and Thursday nights like clockwork. Same hotel downtown, the Marriott on 6th. They check in around 7:00, check out around 11:00. Very comfortable, very routine. I've got photos, timestamps, license plates, the whole package. Anything else? Yeah, they grabbed dinner before the hotel yesterday. That Italian place, Giovanni's. Walked in holding hands like they didn't have a care in the world. I got video of that too. Send me everything. That night I sat in my office reviewing Kyle's evidence. Photos of Claire and Derek entering the hotel together. Photos of them at dinner, laughing, touching, acting like a couple who'd been together for years. Timestamps that matched up perfectly with nights Claire had told me she was working late or meeting clients. I felt weirdly calm looking at it all. The initial shock had worn off. Now I was just methodical, collecting pieces, planning moves. Patricia Vance, the lawyer Jack had recommended, called the next morning. Mr. Hayes, I've reviewed the preliminary information you sent. You've got a strong case for infidelity. Virginia is still a fault-based divorce state, which works in our favor. This evidence would play very well in court. I want more than just a divorce, I said. I want her to understand exactly what she threw away. Patricia laughed sharp and knowing. I like you already. Let's meet tomorrow and discuss strategy. Claire announced on Friday morning that she had a weekend conference in Richmond. 2 days, important clients, mandatory attendance. Really sorry, babe, she said, barely looking up from her phone while she sipped coffee. I know we were supposed to have dinner with your parents, but this came up last minute. No problem, I said. Emma and I will manage. She looked surprised. Usually I pushed back a little, made her feel guilty about missing family time, but not today. Oh, okay. Great. I'll be back Sunday evening. She kissed Emma on the forehead, gave me a distracted wave, and rolled her suitcase out to her Lexus. Emma watched through the kitchen window as Claire backed out of the driveway. She's not going to Richmond, is she? Nope. Kyle's already following her. Want to bet she goes straight to Derek's apartment? Emma pulled out her phone. I'll bet you $20. 20 minutes later, Kyle texted a photo. Claire's Lexus parked outside a modern apartment complex on the west side, the kind of place with a rooftop pool and a doorman. You owe me $20, I told Emma. That afternoon, I met with Patricia Vance in her downtown office. She was late 50s, sharp-eyed, wearing a charcoal suit that probably costs more than my truck payment. You've done good work gathering evidence, she said, spreading Kyle's photos across her mahogany desk. Most clients come to me with suspicions and feelings. You came with documentation, makes my job easier. What happens now? Now we file. I'll prepare the paperwork citing adultery as grounds. Virginia law allows for immediate separation without a waiting period if we can prove fault. With this evidence, we can. You'll get a favorable settlement, likely keep the house, split retirement accounts, possibly even spousal support given her income versus yours. I don't want her money, I said. I just want her to lose what she values. Reputation, mostly. She's climbed the social ladder in this town, made connections, built this image of herself as the successful marketing executive with the perfect family. I want people to know the truth. Patricia leaned back in her chair. Legally, I have to advise you that revenge isn't a sound divorce strategy. Emotionally, I completely understand. But here's the thing, Tom. The best revenge is living well, taking the high road, being the bigger person. I've been the bigger person for years. Where'd that get me? She smiled. Fair point. Okay, here's what we do. We file the papers. Serve her publicly if possible. Courthouse steps, her office, somewhere that makes a statement. We make it clear this isn't mutual, isn't amicable. She cheated. You're divorcing her for cause. End of story. The court documents are public record. Her colleagues, her friends, they'll find out. What about Emma? She's 15, old enough that Virginia courts will consider her preference for custody. Given that she's the one who brought you the evidence, I'm guessing she'll choose to stay with you. Without question, then we emphasize that too. Wife's infidelity fractured the family. Daughter sided with father. Paints a very clear picture. I signed the retainer agreement that afternoon. Patricia promised papers would be ready by Wednesday. That weekend, while Claire was presumably shacked up with Derek, Emma and I went to dinner with my parents. My mom immediately noticed Claire's absence. Where's Claire? She okay? Work conference, I said. Last minute thing? My dad grunted. He'd never particularly liked Claire. Thought she was too focused on status and appearances. She misses a lot of family dinners lately. Yeah, Dad, she does. Something in my tone made him look up from his menu. We locked eyes for a moment and he nodded slowly, understanding passing between us without words. After dinner, he pulled me aside in the parking lot. You doing okay, son? Not really, but I will be. You need anything, you let me know. Money, muscle, whatever. I smiled despite everything. Thanks, Dad. Sunday evening, Claire came home with her suitcase and a fake conference tote bag she'd probably grabbed from her office. How was Richmond? I asked, not looking up from the football game on TV. Exhausting client presentations all day Saturday. Team dinner last night, I'm wiped out. Learn anything useful? Just the usual marketing trends, digital strategies, brand positioning. Nothing revolutionary. She was a good liar. Smooth, confident, details ready. If I hadn't seen the video, if Kyle hadn't followed her, I might have believed it. I'm going to unpack and take a bath, she said. Cool. There's leftover pizza if you're hungry. I watched her walk upstairs. This woman I'd been married to for 15 years. Mother of my child, love of my life. At one point now, just a stranger wearing my wife's face. Monday morning, I got to the construction site early. We were renovating an old warehouse into loft apartments. Big project, good money. My crew was solid, guys I'd worked with for years. Boss seems distracted. My foreman Martinez said around 10. Everything good? Personal stuff? Nothing that affects the job? Need to talk about it? Nope. But I appreciate you asking. Wednesday arrived. Patricia called at 8:00 in the morning. Papers are ready. I've arranged for service at her office at noon. Derek Mitchell works there too. Correct. Same floor, different department. Perfect. Our process server will be professional but visible. Everyone in that office will know something's happening. At noon, I was sitting in my truck at a job site eating a sandwich when my phone rang. Unknown number. Mr. Hayes, this is Lawrence from Vance & Associates. Papers have been served. Your wife seemed quite surprised. I bet she was. Any drama? She turned very pale, asked to speak privately with our server. He declined, said everything she needed to know was in the documents. Several co-workers were watching. One gentleman in particular seemed very interested. Derek had been there. Good. My phone exploded with texts and calls starting around 12:15. Claire called 6 times in a row. I didn't answer. Then texts started flooding in. Tom, call me right now. This is insane. We need to talk. You can't just serve me divorce papers at work. Call me immediately. I texted back one message. Speak to your lawyer. I'm speaking to mine. Then I muted her number. Emma texted around 3. Mom just called me crying, said, "You're being irrational and cruel." I told her I knew everything and hung up. She's losing it. Good, I texted back. Don't engage with her anymore. Let her spiral. That evening I changed the locks on the house. Virginia law was tricky about this, but Patricia had assured me that with documented infidelity and Emma's safety being a concern, a judge would side with me if Claire tried to challenge it. Plus, the house was in my name only, bought before we were married. Claire showed up around 7:00. I watched through the window as she tried her key, failed, tried again, then she started pounding on the door. "Tom, open this door right now." I opened it but stood in the doorway, blocking her entry. "This is my house, Tom. You can't lock me out." "Actually, it's my house. Bought and paid for before we were married. Check the deed." "That's not how marriage works. You're right. Marriage works on trust, fidelity, partnership. You violated all three, so now we're done." She tried to push past me. I didn't budge. "I need my things. I'll have them packed and delivered. You can stay at Derek's place. Heard he's got a nice apartment on the west side." Her face went white. "How did you?" "I'm a construction manager, Claire. I understand foundations, structure, load-bearing walls. I also understand when someone's been undermining everything I've built. You got sloppy, lazy, started thinking I was too stupid to notice." "Tom, please. Can we just talk about this like adults? We're way past talking. You wanted to evaluate whether I was still worth your time. Well, evaluations go both ways. You failed badly." Emma appeared behind me in the hallway. "Hi, Mom," she said coldly. Claire looked at her daughter, saw the hardness in Emma's eyes, and something broke in her expression. "Emma, honey, this is between your father and me. This doesn't involve you. I'm the one who gave him the flash drive," Emma said. "I'm the one who's been watching you live for months, so yeah, it involves me, and I'm staying with Dad. You can't turn my own daughter against me." "I didn't turn her against you. I said you did that yourself. Now leave before I call the police for trespassing." Claire stood on my front porch looking between Emma and me, probably searching for some leverage, some angle she could work. She'd always been good at finding angles. She found nothing. "This isn't over," she said finally. "Yeah, it is. Goodbye, Claire." I closed the door in her face and locked it. Through the window, I watched her stand there for another minute before walking back to her Lexus and driving away. Emma hugged me tight. "You were incredible," she said. "So are you. But this is going to get uglier before it gets better. You ready for that?" "Absolutely." The next morning, I got a call from Derek. "We need to talk," he said. His voice was tight, aggressive. "No, we really don't. You just destroyed Claire's reputation at work. People are talking. She's humiliated. That's unfortunate. Maybe she shouldn't have been sleeping with co-workers. Listen, you blue-collar piece of..." I hung up. He called back immediately. I declined the call. He called again, declined again. Then he texted, "Meet me tonight, 7 p.m. Barton's Bar downtown, or I'll come find you at one of your construction sites." That sounded like a threat. I screenshot the text and sent it to Patricia. She called back within 5 minutes. "He's unraveling. Guys like him can't handle losing control. Do not meet him alone. In fact, don't meet him at all. He threatened to come to my work sites, forward me everything. I'll get a restraining order drafted, but part of me wanted to meet Derek, wanted to look him in the eye and see what Claire had chosen over 15 years of marriage. Wanted him to know that I wasn't some pushover he could intimidate. Against Patricia's advice, I showed up at Barton's Bar at 7. Derek was already there, sitting in a back booth nursing a whiskey. He looked exactly like he did in the video, gym-toned in an expensive button-down hairstyle with too much product. I slid into the booth across from him. "You came," he said, sounding surprised. "You wanted to talk. Talk. You need to drop this divorce, work it out with Claire, go to therapy, whatever." I laughed. "Why would I do that?" "Because you're embarrassing her, making her look bad professionally. That affects both of us. Both of you." Interesting phrasing. Derek leaned forward. Look, man, Claire and I have something real, something you can't give her. She needs someone on her level intellectually, professionally. You're a good guy, but you're not enough for her. And you are? Yeah, I am. I took a slow sip of the beer I'd ordered. Here's what I find funny. You think you won something like you beat me at some competition, but you didn't win anything, Derek. You got the participation trophy. You got the wife who cheats, who lies, who'll do the same thing to you that she did to me the second someone shinier comes along. That's not. You want to know what Claire really thinks of you? I've got recordings, texts. She calls you her fun project. Tells her friends you're temporary until she figures out her next move. You're not her endgame, buddy. You're her distraction. I was bluffing. I had no such recordings, but Derek's face shifted, doubt creeping in. You're lying, am I? Ask her about the conversation she had with her friend Jessica 2 weeks ago. The one where she said, "You're good for now, but too shallow for anything serious." Ask her. I had no idea if Claire even had a friend named Jessica, but Derek didn't know that. This conversation is over, he said, standing up. Stay away from Claire. Gladly, she's all yours. Good luck with that. He stormed out of the bar. I sat there finishing my beer, feeling weirdly satisfied. My phone buzzed. Patricia, please tell me you didn't meet with him. I might have met with him. Tom, for God's sake, that could complicate things legally. He threatened me first. I've got screenshots. I just talked to him in a public place. Nothing illegal about that. She sighed. You're going to give me gray hair. What happened? I planted some seeds of doubt about Claire's commitment to him. Figured I'd let them destroy each other without me having to do anything. Patricia was quiet for a moment. That's actually kind of brilliant. Morally questionable, but brilliant. Over the next week, things escalated quickly. Claire called Emma constantly. Emma declined every call. Claire showed up at Emma's school. Emma told the principal, who escorted Claire off campus and threatened to call police if she returned. Claire's parents called me. Her father, Richard, was a retired bank executive who never thought I was good enough for his daughter. Anyway, Tom, what's this nonsense about divorce? He demanded. It's not nonsense, Richard. Claire's been having an affair for over a year. Emma has evidence. I have evidence. It's happening. Affairs can be worked through. Marriage is a commitment. Tell that to your daughter. She's the one who broke it. You're being vindictive. No, I'm being done. Claire's mother, Patricia, called separately. She was kinder. Tom, honey, I don't know what happened between you two, but Emma is devastated. Can't you work this out for her sake? Emma's the one who exposed the affair, Patricia. She's staying with me. She's choosing me. If Claire wanted to keep her family, she shouldn't have destroyed it. There was a long pause. What affair? Patricia asked quietly. Apparently, Claire hadn't told her parents the real reason for the divorce. I filled Patricia in on the basics, skipping the most humiliating details, but giving her enough to understand. Oh my God, she whispered. I need to call you back. She did 3 hours later. Richard and I are coming to visit this weekend. We need to see the evidence for ourselves. This was either going to be very good or very bad for me. Saturday afternoon, Richard and Patricia arrived at my house. Emma had prepared the evidence, loading the video onto the living room TV, printing out Kyle's photos, organizing text receipts and bank statements. We sat in my living room like we were presenting a business case, because essentially we were. I played the hotel video. Not all 19 minutes, just enough for them to understand what they were seeing. Patricia started crying around the 5-minute mark. Richard's face turned red, then purple. Turn it off, he said. I turned it off. There's more, Emma said quietly. She showed them the photos, the receipts, the timeline she'd built. Patricia looked at her granddaughter with something like awe and heartbreak. You did all this? Someone had to tell the truth, Emma said. Richard stood up and walked to the window, staring out at nothing. I raised her better than this, he said. I taught her integrity, responsibility. Sometimes people ignore their raising, I said. He turned around. I owe you an apology, Tom. I never thought you were good enough for Claire. I was wrong. She's not good enough for you. She never was. Coming from Richard, that was significant. Patricia hugged Emma, then hugged me. What do you need from us? She asked. Just support Emma. This is hardest on her. And maybe talk to Claire. Make her understand that actions have consequences. They drove to Derek's apartment that evening. Claire had been staying there since I'd locked her out of the house. Emma and I watched a movie, deliberately not thinking about what was happening across town. My phone rang around 9. Claire's mother. We found them, Patricia said. Her voice was cold now, disgusted. Together. Derek answered the door in a bathrobe. Claire was in the background wearing his shirt. We said what we needed to say. She's out of our will, effective immediately. Patricia, you don't have to. Yes, we do. She humiliated you, betrayed Emma, destroyed her family for some boy toy. That's not the daughter I raised. That's a stranger. After she hung up, Emma looked at me. Grandma disinherited Mom. Sounds like it. Harsh. Yeah, but Emma was smiling a little. Good. The following Tuesday, I met Kyle for breakfast. He slid a folder across the table. Last bit of surveillance you asked for. Derek's not as slick as he thinks. Inside were photos of Derek with another woman, not Claire. Someone younger, blonder, meeting him for coffee twice last week while Claire was at work. He's hedging his bets, Kyle said. Probably figured out that Claire's life is imploding and he doesn't want to be part of the wreckage. Can I use these? That's why I got them. I sent the photos to Claire with a simple text. Thought you should know what you threw everything away for. She didn't respond for 6 hours. Then you're cruel. No, I texted back. I'm honest. There's a difference. The divorce mediation was scheduled for a Thursday morning. Patricia Vance had prepared me thoroughly. She'll try to paint herself as the victim. Patricia said she'll claim you were emotionally distant, worked too much, didn't appreciate her. Classic cheater's playbook. Don't take the bait. Stay calm. Stick to facts. Claire showed up with a lawyer, some guy named Brandon, who looked fresh out of law school and already outmatched. Brandon was probably cheap, which meant Claire's finances were already tight. We sat across a conference table, mediator at the head. Claire looked terrible, hair pulled back, minimal makeup, wearing a plain blouse instead of her usual designer wardrobe, playing the struggling wife angle. The mediator, an older woman named Mrs. Cho, reviewed the case basics. Mr. Hayes is seeking divorce on grounds of adultery. Mrs. Hayes, do you dispute this claim? Claire's lawyer jumped in. My client acknowledges that marital difficulties occurred, but we contest the characterization that I have video evidence, I said calmly. 19 minutes plus photographs, witness statements, and a timeline spanning 14 months. Would you like to see it? Brandon looked at Claire. She shook her head. The adultery occurred, Brandon admitted, but we're asking for an equitable settlement regardless. Mrs. Hayes contributed significantly to the marriage, supported Mr. Hayes's career, maintained the household. I maintained the household, I interrupted. I bought the house before we married. I paid the mortgage, utilities, property taxes. My income supported our lifestyle, while Claire's income went to her personal expenses. Credit card statements prove that. Patricia slid documentation across the table. Brandon's face fell as he reviewed it. Additionally, Patricia continued, the marital infidelity caused severe emotional damage to the couple's minor daughter, who has chosen to reside solely with Mr. Hayes. Mrs. Hayes has made no effort to maintain appropriate boundaries or repair the relationship with her daughter. That's because he turned Emma against me, Claire burst out. Mrs. Hayes, the mediator said sharply, please control yourself. Claire took a breath. He's poisoned my daughter's mind. She won't talk to me, won't see me. That's parental alienation. I showed her a video that she discovered on her own. I said, a video of you mocking me, betraying our family, and planning your affair. Emma drew her own conclusions. I didn't have to say anything. You had no right to show her that. She's the one who recorded it. She handed me the flash drive. She made the choice to document your behavior because she was tired of watching you destroy our family. Claire started crying. Real tears or performance tears? I couldn't tell anymore. I made mistakes, she said. I know that, but I'm still Emma's mother. I deserve a chance to repair our relationship. Then repair it, I said. Nothing's stopping you except your own choices. You want Emma back in your life. Stop playing victim. Take responsibility. Apologize to her. Actually mean it. I have apologized. No, you've made excuses. You've blamed me, blamed stress, blamed everything except yourself. Emma's 15, not stupid. She knows the difference. The mediation continued for another 2 hours. In the end, Claire got almost nothing. No house, no spousal support, minimal split of retirement accounts. She'd keep her car and her personal belongings. The court would likely grant me primary custody of Emma with minimal visitation for Claire. Brandon tried to argue for more, but Patricia shut him down with evidence at every turn. Claire had no leverage. She destroyed the marriage, alienated her daughter, and tanked her own credibility. When it was over, Claire followed me to the parking garage. Tom, wait. I stopped but didn't turn around. You really hate me this much. I turned to face her. I don't hate you, Claire. I hate what you did. I hate that you threw away 15 years like it meant nothing. I hate that you hurt Emma, but you personally, I feel nothing. That's worse than hate, and you know it. We could have fixed this if you'd just talked to me, if you'd shown interest in my life, if you'd been more ambitious. There it is. I said, even now you can't help yourself. It's still my fault somehow. I wasn't ambitious enough. I didn't appreciate you enough. I worked too much or not enough or the wrong kind of work. It's never your fault for lying, cheating, and destroying your family. Always someone else's responsibility. That's not what Yeah, it is. You know what I learned through all this? I was never the problem. You were. You wanted someone to blame for your own dissatisfaction. So you blamed me. You wanted permission to cheat, so you convinced yourself I deserved it. You wanted to feel superior, so you tore me down. None of that was about me, it was all about you. Her face hardened. You think you're so noble now, the wronged husband, the victim, but you're petty, Tom, you're small. You took pleasure in humiliating me at work, turning my parents against me, destroying my relationship with Emma. That's not justice. That's revenge. You're right. I said it is revenge. But here's the thing, Claire. You spent a year humiliating me, making jokes about my job, my intelligence, my worth. You did it at dinner parties with your friends, probably with Derek. You made me feel small every single day while pretending to be my loving wife. So yeah, I made sure everyone knew the truth about who you really are. Call it petty if you want. I call it consequences. I never meant to hurt you. Yes, you did. Every time you lied, every time you chose him over me, every time you came home and pretended everything was fine while planning your next hotel visit, those were choices. Deliberate choices to hurt me. You just didn't think I'd ever find out. You thought I was too stupid to notice. Claire wiped her eyes. What happens now? Now we sign papers, finalize the divorce, and move on with our separate lives. You figure out your situation with Derek, assuming he hasn't already moved on to the next woman. I focus on being a good father to Emma and rebuilding the life you tried to demolish. She'll forgive me eventually. She has to. I'm her mother. Maybe she will, but that's between you and her. I'm done being the middleman in your relationship. You want Emma back? Earn it. Prove you've changed. Stop blaming everyone else and take accountability for once in your life. I walked away, leaving Claire standing alone in the parking garage. That evening, Emma and I ordered Chinese food and watched a comedy special. Normal, mundane, comfortable. The kind of evening I'd forgotten was possible. "Dad," Emma said during a commercial break, "are you okay?" Like really okay. Getting there. "How about you? I feel bad sometimes, like maybe I should feel worse about Mom, you know? But mostly I just feel relieved. Is that weird?" "Not weird. You've been carrying the secret for months, watching her lie, watching me get hurt, not being able to say anything. That's a heavy burden. Relief makes sense. Do you think she'll ever actually change?" "Honestly, I don't know. Some people do. Some people just get better at hiding who they really are, but that's not our problem anymore. I like that. Not our problem anymore." My phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. "This is Derek. Stay away from Claire. Final warning." I showed Emma. She rolled her eyes. "He's still threatening you? What a loser." I forwarded the text to Patricia with a note, adding this to the restraining order file. She responded immediately. "Got it. He's building our case for us." The following week, Claire showed up at Emma's school again. Despite the principal's warning, despite everything, Emma called me from the office. "She's here crying in the parking lot, asking to talk to me. The principal called the police. Do you want to talk to her?" Long pause. "No, not yet. Maybe not ever. I don't know. Then don't. You get to decide when and if you're ready for that." The police escorted Claire off school property. She got a formal trespassing warning. One more incident and she'd face charges. That night, Claire's mother called me again. "Tom, I know this isn't your responsibility anymore, but Claire's falling apart. She lost her job. Derek broke up with her. She's staying at some extended stay hotel. I'm worried she might hurt herself." My first instinct was to say not my problem, but Patricia's voice was genuinely frightened. "Have you talked to her?" "She won't take my calls. Richard tried too. She shut us out completely." "What do you want me to do?" "I can't fix her life. She has to do that. Could you at least check on her? Just make sure she's alive and safe." I know it's asking a lot. I thought about it. Thought about the woman I'd married 15 years ago before ambition and resentment had twisted her into someone unrecognizable. Thought about Emma, who might someday ask if I'd tried to help her mother when she was at rock bottom. "Send me the address," I said. "I'll do a welfare check, but that's it." I'm not her savior. The extended stay hotel was exactly as depressing as it sounded. Cheap, institutional, the kind of place people stayed when everything else had fallen apart. I knocked on room 237. No answer. Knocked again. "Claire, it's Tom. Your mom asked me to check on you. I'm not here to fight, just making sure you're okay." The door opened a crack. Claire looked terrible. Hair unwashed, wearing sweatpants and an old t-shirt. Eyes hollow. "What do you want to make sure you're alive? Are you barely?" "Your mom's worried. She thinks you might do something stupid. Would you care if I did?" "Emma would care. So yeah, indirectly I care." She opened the door wider. The room was a mess. Empty wine bottles, takeout containers, clothes everywhere. "Lost my job," she said flatly. "Derek dumped me for his assistant. My parents won't talk to me. My daughter hates me. My friends stopped returning calls when they found out about the affair. Everything's gone. That's what happens when you blow up your life. Thanks, Tom. Real helpful." "You want helpful? Here's helpful. Stop drinking. Shower. Get some sleep. Find a therapist. Find a new job. Rebuild your life piece by piece. Stop waiting for someone to rescue you. Easy for you to say. You're not the one who lost everything. Neither are you. You still have your health, your education, your skills. You can get another job. You can repair relationships if you actually put in the work. But first, you have to stop playing victim and take responsibility. I made mistakes. No, you made choices. Calculated, deliberate choices. Own them. Stop calling them mistakes like they were accidents. Claire sat down on the bed crying again. I ruined everything. Yeah, you did. How do I fix it? I can't answer that. That's your work to figure out. But step one is probably calling your mother back and actually listening when she talks instead of making excuses. I left her there in that depressing hotel room. Part of me felt sorry for her. Larger part of me felt nothing at all. 2 weeks later, the divorce was finalized. I signed papers in Patricia's office. Claire signed separately with her lawyer. We didn't see each other. The judge granted me primary custody of Emma, gave Claire supervised visitation rights pending family therapy. It's done, Patricia said, shaking my hand. You're officially divorced. How do you feel? Lighter, like I've been carrying weight I didn't realize was there. Good. Now go live your life. Be happy. That's the real victory. Emma was waiting when I got home from work that evening. She'd made dinner spaghetti again and set the table for 2. Celebrating? I asked. New beginning? She said. Feels like we should mark it somehow. We ate dinner together talking about her classes, her friends, normal parent, teenager stuff. No drama, no lies, no hidden agendas. After dinner, Emma's phone buzzed. She checked it and her expression shifted. Mom texted. Says she's been going to therapy, wants to know if I'd be willing to do family counseling with her. No pressure, just asking. What do you think? I don't know. Part of me wants to tell her to forget it. Part of me thinks maybe I should try. She is my mom, even if she's terrible at it. You don't have to decide right now. Think about it. Talk to your own therapist about it. Whatever you decide, I'll support you. Emma nodded. Thanks, Dad. For what? For not being like her. For being honest even when it was hard. For letting me make my own choices. That's just called being a parent. Yeah. Well, you're good at it. Later that night, after Emma had gone to bed, I sat on the back porch with a beer. The neighborhood was quiet, trees rustling in the breeze, stars visible through gaps in the clouds. My phone buzzed. Text from Derek. You won. Happy. You destroyed Claire's life. Hope you're proud, I typed back. I didn't destroy anything. She did that herself. I just stopped pretending it wasn't happening. He didn't respond. Another text came through. This one from Claire's number. I'm sorry for everything. I know that doesn't fix anything, but I needed to say it. Tell Emma I love her. I didn't respond to that one either. Some things don't deserve responses. I finished my beer and went inside. Emma was in the living room supposedly doing homework, but actually on her phone. Your mom texted me, I said. Says she's sorry, says she loves you. Emma didn't look up. Cool. You can respond if you want or not. Your call. I'll think about it. That weekend, Kyle called with interesting news. Thought you'd want to know. Derek got promoted VP of Digital Strategy. Guess sleeping with the boss's daughter has its perks. Claire's boss? Yep. Turns out Derek's been working multiple angles. Claire was just one of them. Guy's a professional ladder climber. I laughed. Claire really knows how to pick them. She's working retail now, by the way. Saw her at the mall yesterday. Looked miserable. That's tough. You don't sound very sympathetic. I'm not. She made her choices. Now she's living with them. 3 months later, Emma agreed to do family therapy with Claire. Not because she'd forgiven her, she said, but because her therapist thought it might help with closure. I drove Emma to the first session and waited in the parking lot. When she came out an hour later, her eyes were red, but she seemed okay. How'd it go? Weird. Mom cried a lot, apologized. I mostly just listened. The therapist says we'll need a lot of sessions before we can have an actual relationship again. If we even want one. Do you want one? I don't know yet. Maybe eventually, but not like before. I can't trust her like I used to, that's fair. Over the next few months, life settled into a new normal. Emma continued therapy with Claire, slowly rebuilding something that resembled a mother-daughter relationship. I focused on work, picked up a few new projects, even started dating someone from my gym. Nothing serious, just coffee and conversation, but it felt good to remember I could connect with someone. Claire got an apartment, kept her retail job, apparently stayed in therapy. She and Emma had supervised visits once a week. Slowly, carefully, they were finding their way back to each other. I didn't see Claire except in passing when dropping Emma off for visits. We didn't speak. There was nothing left to say. One evening, about 6 months after the divorce was finalized, Emma came home from a visit with Claire looking thoughtful. Mom asked if you'd ever forgive her. What did you tell her? That it wasn't up to me, that you'd have to answer that yourself. What do you think I should say? Emma shrugged. I think forgiveness is complicated. I don't know if I've forgiven her. I'm trying to have a relationship with her, but that's different. Maybe forgiveness comes later. Or maybe it doesn't. Maybe some things are just too big to forgive completely. When do you get so wise? When my mom cheated on my dad and I had to grow up fast. I'm sorry you had to do that. I'm sorry it happened, but I'm not sorry about who I became because of it. I'm stronger now, more aware. I don't trust people blindly anymore. That's probably a good thing. Yeah, it probably is. A year after the divorce, I was at a work site when I saw Claire across the street. She was walking with Emma, both of them carrying shopping bags, apparently having spent the afternoon together. Emma was laughing at something, Claire said. They looked comfortable together, not like they used to, but like they were building something new. Claire saw me watching. She raised her hand in a tentative wave. I nodded back. Not friendly, not hostile, just acknowledgement. That night, Emma told me about her day. Mom's doing better. She's got a new job, assistant manager at a bookstore. Says she likes it better than marketing. Less stressful, more genuine. That's good. She asked about you, if you were seeing anyone, if you were happy. What did you tell her? That you were doing fine? That it wasn't really her business anymore? Fair answer. Emma hesitated. Would you ever consider being friends with her again? Like way in the future? Honestly, I don't know. Right now, no. Maybe never. Some bridges burn completely, but I'm not angry anymore. I don't wish bad things for her. I just don't want her in my life beyond co-parenting you. That makes sense. 2 years after the divorce, I was at Emma's high school graduation. Claire was there too, sitting on the opposite side of the auditorium. When Emma walked across the stage, we both stood and cheered. After the ceremony, we both hugged Emma. Claire congratulated her, cried a little, took photos. I stayed on my side, gave them space. Emma looked at both of us and smiled. Thanks for both being here. Wouldn't miss it, I said. Me neither, Claire added quietly. We didn't speak to each other, didn't need to. Emma was what mattered. Later at the graduation party I threw at the house, Emma pulled me aside. You know what's weird? I spent so long being angry at Mom, and now I'm just tired of being angry. I'm ready to move forward, that's healthy. But I'll never forget what happened. I'll never trust her the same way. Is that okay? It's more than okay. It's smart. Trust is earned, not automatic, even with family. Did you ever trust anyone again after Mom? I'm learning to. It takes time. But yeah, I think I will. Good. You deserve to be happy, Dad. So do you. That night, after everyone had gone home and Emma was asleep, I sat in my office looking at the flash drive Emma had given me 2 years ago. The one that had started everything. I'd kept it as a reminder, not of betrayal, but of the moment I decided to stop accepting less than I deserved. The moment I'd chosen myself, chosen Emma, chosen truth over comfortable lies. I took the flash drive and threw it in the trash. I didn't need reminders anymore. Some people asked if I regretted how I'd handled everything, if I wished I'd been kinder, more forgiving, less aggressive in exposing Claire's affair. The answer was no. Claire had spent a year making calculated choices to betray our family. She'd mocked me, lied to me, used me for financial stability while building a life with someone else. When I found out, I'd made my own calculated choices. I'd exposed the truth, protected my daughter, and refused to let Claire rewrite history to make herself the victim. Was it revenge? Sure. But it was also justice. It was refusing to be gasoline for someone else's lies. It was teaching my daughter that actions have consequences and that self-respect matters more than keeping the peace. Claire lost her job, her reputation, her family's support, her relationship with Derek, and almost lost Emma. Those were consequences of her choices, not my vindictiveness. Did I take satisfaction in watching her world crumble? At first, yes, absolutely. After months of feeling small and stupid and inadequate, there was satisfaction in proving I wasn't any of those things. In showing everyone who'd laughed at her jokes about me being blue-collar or simple that I was smart enough to catch her, document everything, and execute a perfect strategic dismantling of her comfortable lies. But the satisfaction faded. Eventually, I just felt empty where Claire used to be. Not sad, not angry, just empty. And then, gradually, I filled that empty space with better things. Time with Emma, new projects, new relationships, self-respect. 3 years after the divorce, Emma was preparing for college. Claire had worked her way up to store manager at the bookstore. We'd achieved what the therapist called parallel parenting. We communicated about Emma through text, showed up for school events without drama, split costs and decisions efficiently. We were never going to be friends. The betrayal had cut too deep for that. But we'd found a way to exist in the same orbit without destroying each other. That was enough. One afternoon, Emma and I were packing boxes for her dorm room. She held up an old photo from her 13th birthday party back when we'd all been together and happy, or at least pretending to be. "You think Mom ever really loved you?" Emma asked. "Yeah, I think she did once. I think somewhere along the way she stopped and didn't know how to tell me or didn't want to because it was easier to keep me around as the stable option while she looked for something more exciting." That's sad. It is, but it's also okay. People change. Feelings change. The problem wasn't that she fell out of love. The problem was that she lied about it and destroyed our family instead of being honest. If she'd been honest from the start, would you have let her go? Probably. It would have hurt, but yeah, I'd rather someone leave me honestly than stay and betray me. Emma nodded, tucking the photo into a memory box. Me too. The week before Emma left for college, she had dinner with both Claire and me, separately, not together. Some boundaries remained. After her dinner with Claire, Emma came home thoughtful. Mom said she's been seeing someone, a guy from her book club. Asked if I wanted to meet him. How do you feel about that? Weird, but okay. I guess she deserves to move on too, as long as she's honest with him, as long as she doesn't do to him what she did to us. That's her responsibility, not yours. I know. But still, I hope she's learned something, me too. On Emma's last night before college, we sat on the back porch like we'd done hundreds of times before. "You nervous?" I asked. "Terrified, excited, everything. You're going to do great. What about you? What are you going to do with an empty house? Probably pick up more projects, maybe travel, figure out who I am when I'm not primarily someone's dad. You'll always be my dad. I know, but you're growing up, moving on. That's good. That's what's supposed to happen. Emma leaned against my shoulder. Thanks for everything, Dad. For protecting me. For being honest, for showing me what integrity looks like. You made it easy. You're a good kid, Em. I learned from the best. We sat there as the sun set, father and daughter, survivors of a family that had imploded and reformed into something different but functional. Claire had taken everything she valued and gambled it on a man who'd never valued her at all. She'd lost catastrophically. She was rebuilding now, slower and humbler, learning lessons that most people figured out earlier in life. I'd lost my marriage but gained clarity, lost my wife but kept my daughter. Lost the illusion of a perfect family but gained authentic relationships built on honesty instead of performance. In the end, everyone got what they'd earned. Claire earned consequences. Emma earned freedom from lies. I earned peace. Was it the ending I'd imagined when I married Claire 15 years ago? No, but it was the ending that the truth demanded. And truth, I'd learned, was always better than comfortable fiction. The flash drive Emma had handed me that day hadn't just exposed an affair. It had exposed what our family had really been. A structure built on lies, sustained by my willingness to ignore red flags, collapsing under the weight of Claire's selfishness. Some people survived that collapse and rebuild together. We hadn't. We'd rebuilt separately, parallel lives that occasionally intersected for Emma's sake. That was okay. Not every story gets a reconciliation. Not every betrayal deserves forgiveness. Sometimes the best ending is simply walking away with your dignity intact and lessons learned. I'd walked away. I'd kept my dignity. I'd learned my lessons, and in doing so I'd won. Not because Claire had lost everything, though she had, but because I'd refused to lose myself in the process of losing her. That was the real victory, not revenge, not vindication, not watching her suffer. The real victory was sitting on my back porch with my daughter. Both of us free from lies, both of us moving forward, both of us stronger for having survived the worst and chosen truth. Anyway, Emma left for college the next morning. I helped her carry boxes into her dorm room, met her roommate, embarrassed her with dad jokes, and hugged her goodbye. Driving home alone, I felt the empty space where constant worry about Emma used to live. But it was a good empty, the kind that meant she was safe, independent, thriving. My phone buzzed. Text from Claire. Thank you for raising such an incredible daughter. I know I don't deserve credit for that anymore, but thank you. I stared at the text for a long moment. Then I typed back, "You're welcome." That was all. No warmth, no forgiveness, no rekindling of anything, just acknowledgement. Some endings aren't dramatic. They're just quiet acknowledgements that something is over and both people survived. This was that kind of ending. I drove home to my empty house, poured myself a drink, and sat in the silence. For the first time in 3 years, I felt completely at peace. The betrayal had happened. The revenge had happened. The consequences had played out. Now there was just life, moving forward, building something new from the wreckage of something old. Claire would have her story, whatever version she told herself to justify everything. Emma would have her story shaped by hard lessons learned too young. I had my story, the one where I'd refused to be the fool Claire had tried to make me. None of our stories would match perfectly, that was fine. Truth was like that sometimes, fragmented and personal. But my story ended here, in this moment, in this silence, with peace finally settling into the spaces where pain used to live. I'd loved Claire once. She'd destroyed that love systematically and deliberately. I'd responded by dismantling the comfortable lies she'd built and forcing everyone to see the truth. Was I proud of that? Yes. Would I do it differently if I could go back? No. Every choice I'd made had been calculated to protect Emma and myself from someone who'd proven she couldn't be trusted. The affair hadn't been the problem. The lying had been the problem, the mockery, the manipulation, the year of systematic betrayal while pretending to be my partner. That had been the problem, and I'd solved it the only way that made sense, with truth, exposure, and consequences. Some people called that revenge. I called it accountability. Either way, it was over now. Claire's life was her own responsibility. Emma's life was becoming her own story. My life was finally genuinely, completely mine. That was enough. That was everything. I finished my drink and went to bed in my house that I'd bought and paid for. In my bed that no one had betrayed me in my life that no longer included lies. And I slept better than I had in